that okay, Penny? Is that okay? I think okay. Okay, Mama got a film now.
Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over some sci-fi series that are on my TBR. The last video I posted like this were fantasy series on my TBR. I'll link that down below in case you missed it. And like I did in that video, I'm not really going to be going over the synopses about any of these books. Just going to make it a nice quick check-in kind of video. I will have 3 different categories. I'll have one series that I've technically read already, and the next section is going to be series that are completed and I have at least 1 or more of the books, and the next category are series that are still ongoing or new, but I still have at least 1 of the books. And the first series, the one that I've completed so far, I just read it in January, so I'll have that wrap up link down below in case you missed it, is the Wayward Pines trilogy by Blake Crouch. This is more a sci-fi thriller, and the first one is Pines. Second one is Wayward. And the third book is The Last Town. Spoiler alert, this is really good, a lot of fun, but if you missed my wrap up, you'll have to check that out for my full thoughts. And these next 6 series are all completed series, and I have at least 1 or more of the books. And the first series is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I don't know if that's the name of the series, but I'm going to say it's the Ender's Game series. It's a duology, so it's just these 2 here, Ender's Game and Speaker for the Dead. I actually got both of these at like a thrift store or library book sale, so I got them for $1 each. That's why they're like the old school mass market paperbacks. Quite a few of sci-fi books are like that, so I mean, I'm still looking forward to reading it. And the next one is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Book number 2 I do not have yet. That one's called Ready Player 2. And I've heard that that one is not as good as the first one, but I still want to read them and find out for myself. And the next series is The Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis. This is actually an omnibus, so all 3 books in one. And the books are called Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, and That Hideous Strength. And you can see here I kind of divided them. That's the first book, the second book, and then the third book, which is quite longer than the first 2. But I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. And this next series is probably the longest one that I have on either my fantasy or my sci-fi series. I would say the longest fantasy series I have on my TBR is the Throne of Glass series, because technically it's 8 books. But this one beats it out by 1 book, and that's The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. Oh, the glare. Okay, there we go. They're a little chunky too, and there's 9 of these, but this has been really well loved, and I believe this was made into a show. I've never seen it, but I'm really looking forward to reading this series. And the next series that is completed is the Inhibitor Trilogy, and that's by Alistair Reynolds. The first one is called Revelation Space. Nice, another chunky one. I love these Orbit sci-fi books. They're nice and chunky and floppy. They just feel so good. I can't wait to read it. The second one is Redemption Arc, and the third one is called Absolution Gap, but that's still in the mail on the way to me. I should probably receive it next week or so. Once I get the third one, I'm going to be reading this, I think this month. And this next series, I believe, has a total of 6 books. However, I only have the first 2, and I'm still trying to decide whether I only want to read the first 2 or if I want to go ahead and read the whole series. And that is Dune by Frank Herbert. And this is the first one, the hardcover special edition with the sprayed edges. And then I got the same thing in the second one, Dune Messiah. Now, I don't think they did special editions like this in the next 4 in the series, so I would probably just get those like in the regular paperback, which kind of bothers me a little bit because I like to have them all the same. However, I used to have the paperback of this one, and I just did not like it. It was going to be difficult to read. I didn't like the formatting of like the words on the page. It was really weird. So I was like, I don't know if I want to read that and then have that be like every book. I don't know, we'll see. So I'm still deciding whether I want to just read the first 2 or go ahead and read the whole series. I don't know. If any of you have read the whole series, what do you think? Do you think I can just stop at the 2, or should I read the whole thing? And these next 6 series are ones that are still ongoing, have more books to be released, but I have at least 1 of the books. And so the first one is called Planetside by Michael Mammey. I don't know if the series is called Planetside, but the books, there's 3 out so far. There's Planetside, what is it, Colony Side? Oh yeah, I have it in my little master TBR notebook. There's Planet Side is the first one, and then Space Side, Colony Side, and then Dark Side is the fourth one that I think is coming out this year. And I read Generation Ship by this author in January. Again, that wrap-up will be linked down below in case you missed it, but that one was really fun. And so I looked up to see if he had written anything else, and I found this series. And it's kind of funny because it's in that old school mass market paperback format, but that's all good. It still looks fun to me.
Penny, what are you doing? Are you gonna look out the window? Penny, my precious little petunia. Can I continue on with the video? Can I do it? You want to sit over here? Oh, you just want your pettings? I gotta finish my video. I'm almost done. Just a minute.
You know, I have cat fur in my face. What are you trying to do exactly? Anyway, this next series I only found out about because the author left a comment in my video, the one where I went over sci-fi books that you can read in a day. He said that part 2 was going to be out soon. I looked it up and I was like, well, that sounds really fun. So the first one is called The Beam Part 1, and I have since looked up part 2, and unfortunately it's only available on Kindle so far, and I don't do ebooks, so I don't know if it's going to come out in paperback format eventually or if it's only going to be on Kindle, and I also don't know if it's going to continue past part 2, so that's why I'm putting it in this section. I just don't know if it's going to be continuing or not, or if it's just at the part 2.
Penny, no, don't do that. You knocked over Bunny.
My goodness. Oh, I gotta finish this up because they're starting to... What?
What, Penny?
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, part 2, only on Kindle. I don't do ebooks, so hopefully it comes out on paperback. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to continue past part 2, but this looks really fun, so I am definitely looking forward to checking this out. And this next series, I probably should have included in my fantasy series TBR, but I've heard that it could fit either one, like fantasy or sci-fi, so I'm squeezing it in here. And that's the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. And I guess initially it was just that trilogy, and then he continued on. I believe the 7th book is coming out later this year. So I'll go ahead and start out with the trilogy, and then I'll see if I want to continue on with the rest of the series, but I probably will. And the next series is the Pandemonium series by M.R. Carey, and the first book is called Infinity Gate. That's such a cool cover. Another cool floppy orbit paperback. And this is a space opera, but there's a multiverse involved, so that sounds really cool. There's only the first book out so far. I believe the second one comes out later this year. The next series is the Kingdom Trilogy by Bethany Jacobs, and the first book is called These Burning Stars. So like I said, this will be a trilogy. I only have the first one, and I believe the second one comes out later this year. And I know I wasn't going to say any synopses, but there's really cool blurbs on the back, and not very many people have talked about this. I've only seen one channel mention this series, and I just have to say these because it sounds so good. A sizzling political space opera exploring the borders of passion and monstrosity, hunter and hunted, obsession and devotion. I'm here for the characters, and Jacobs are compelling, flawed, tragic, and hopeful at the same time. And also, the characters and prose have a sharpness to them that's both beautiful and devastating. Oh, it sounds so good. And then a cast of deliciously dangerous characters and a gloriously executed plot that twists like a knife. I mean, how good does that sound? Seriously. Gotta read this ASAP. And the last sci-fi series, at least for this video, on my TBR is the Red Space Trilogy by David Wellington. The first book is called Paradise 1. Again, with the floppy, chunky orbit sci-fi books. I just love these so much. And book number 2, Revenant X, I believe that comes out in November. I've only seen one channel mention this book, and the reviews sounded really good. They kept it pretty vague. They said it's better to go in blind, so all I need to know is that it's sci-fi horror set in space, and I mean, I'm in. But I will make an exception on this one, and I will just say the blurb on the back, because it's like 3 sentences, and nobody has really talked about this besides one channel. So I do want to say a little bit about it to hopefully intrigue you to also pick it up. Paradise 1, Earth's first deep space colony. For thousands of people, it was an opportunity for a new life until it went dark. No communication has been received from the colony for months, and it falls to Firewatch Inspector Alexandra Petrova and the crew of the Artemis to investigate. What they find is more horrifying than anything they could have imagined. So, I can't wait to read this. I don't know if I can fit it into March, but hopefully at least April. And then I'm going to have to wait until November to read book 2. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy, but I have to read this ASAP. Okay, friends, that will wrap it up for the sci-fi series on my TBR. I will have some more series on my TBR for both fantasy and sci-fi, but I only wanted to do videos for series that I had at least one of the books for. So you'll be seeing another video like this from me soon. Of course, as mentioned in my fantasy series TBR, I will also have another series TBR video coming up where it's like mystery, thriller, suspense, random things that don't fit into either fantasy or sci-fi. So thank you so much for watching, and if you've made it this far, go ahead and leave an emoji, anything space or science related, and I'll see you in the next video.